Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have Sheridan Tatsuno. I spent a year in Japan. I should know how to pronounce that. Tatsuno. So anyway, Sheridan, it's great to have you. I'd just love to hear sort of your family story, your story about how you got into urban and regional planning. So great to have you.
Okay, hi. Well, thank you for inviting me. Let's see. I'm Japanese American, third generation, the second one born here, and my family is one of the oldest Japanese families in San Francisco. My grandfather was born in 1872. That was the fourth year Meiji, and then he moved here at 21 or so in 1893. And if you know what happened, there was the Chinese-Japanese War in 1894-5. So I think he was basically a draft dodger. He had a choice of going to Manchuria or coming to California. He said, I think California's got better weather and it's nicer, and I want to live. So he came, and then there were very few, only several hundred men during the 1890s. And then after 1900, then, the more women started coming in.
Okay.
So the Japantown was really rowdy young men, like they're all here to make, and they were all single. So it's eating, drinking, the wildlife. And then the women started showing up, and then the community settled down very quickly with churches and, clubs and education. And the woman civilized the men, basically, which is always true.
Yeah.
If you look at the West. So that's what happened. So what happened, my grandfather opened a store, Nichibei Busan. It's nbstore.com. I'll put the link here. And we opened in 1902 at the Chinatown gate. My grandfather sold small clothes for the Western clothes for Japanese and Chinese. And an earthquake knocked it down in 1906. He moved to 1907 to the Western Addition, which was Gulf Street. And then 1910, he opened a shop there in Buchanan and Sutter, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So my family sells, it's one of the oldest Japanese American stores in California. We're one of the 10 that survived over a century in California.
Wow.
So we sell, and if you look at the history on our site, it's nbstore.com. Anyway, so that's my father. He grew up, and then what happened? And then, of course, they all went to the concentration camps in World War II, 1942 to 45. And then afterwards, my older brother died, and my father got so depressed here, and my uncle's coming back from Tokyo working under MacArthur after the war. So my uncle took over the Nichibei Busan in Japantown, and my father opened up our store in 1948 in San Jose, Japantown, which it still exists. The San Francisco shut down because the children want to take it over, but my father, and we still run it. So we're one of the oldest Japanese stores in California, and it's very traditional too. We sell all Japanese items and kimonos. For the Obon festivals, we always dress up all the people who come in wearing kimonos and yukatas, things like that. Now, how did I get into urban planning? One is, as you know, during the 50s, we had the National Highway Program. And what happened was San Francisco was going to go put highways everywhere, but they did succeeded in running a highway called Geary Boulevard. It wasn't a highway, but it was a boulevard, which split the Black and the Japanese community. So they knocked, the urban renewal, which James Baldwin called Black removal, accurately, they knocked down 10,000 Victorian homes. Because remember, they were redlining poor areas.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't give loans to rebuild and clean up. Otherwise, we'd have all these beautiful painted ladies there. So instead, we just decimated 10,000 houses. All these people went to the East Bay, South, other places. And then my family went to San Jose, and then 1,000 businesses were wiped out.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so right now there is a plan to underground Geary Boulevard, a street from Laguna to Divisadero. And Malmood, the new supervisor for District 5, just had public hearings. Now, what's important is this is one of the biggest opportunities in 50 years or 100 years for a community. Now, we have a lot of development, near the port, but that's mostly, high corporate.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this time they're talking about undergrounding Geary Boulevard, having a park or like a community where now it is the heart of San Francisco. It's 10% of the total population. It's the most racially, ethnically diverse in the city. We have Japanese, you have Black, Jewish, Italian, Filipino, everybody there.
Wow.
So they're beginning to open. So if anybody would like to revisit and rebuild San Francisco at the heart, the way we want to do it, bottom up community, this is an opportunity. Now, so I wrote a novel because I like writing. So I wrote a novel. It's kind of a comedy. It's like Full House.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And there's all these crazy fashion designers and artists and musicians in San Francisco, and they want to claim the streets and, do it their way. They're not corporate. They don't like corporate. And so what they do is they band together, and it's called Bop City, which is in the 1940s, it was a Bop City in Japantown.
Oh, really?
It was the first integrated nightclub in San Francisco. So the Black musicians used to go downtown and perform. And at 2:00, because it was all white customers. So at night, at 2:00 till 6 in the morning, they would go over to Bop City, right there in Japantown, Sutter.
Okay.
And then they would play, and then everybody was welcome. Black, brown, blue, purple, anybody was.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was the first integrated nightclub in San Francisco.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's the perfect metaphor for San Francisco today, because we're very global and, open, and we like cultures of all types. So I said, well, if that's the case, I said, why don't we have what I call the Champs-Élysées of San Francisco?
That'd be nice.
Which the city is actually thinking about allowing the community to just take over the land. I meant the Fillmore Task Force, and I'm part of the Japantown Task Force, plus the Jewish community, and then the Filipino community. So we're getting everybody together. So, okay, now, if you had a choice to reclaim the land and do what you want, what would you create?
Yeah.
Okay. Affordable housing. So I'm an urban planner, so you could literally put, 3,000 to 4,000 units of affordable housing there if you want to.
Along the Geary corridor.
Well, no, but it goes all the way into if you look at Fillmore, there's a lot of empty blocks or kind of like parking lots.
Okay.
Parking lots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you put, kind of a high rise, like at least 5 or 6 stories.
Right.
And then you design it small and all that, you could provide, thousands of units of affordable housing if you want to.
Wow.
Okay. So that's what I would propose. And then, but you have to redesign it so you have more like co-working spaces, co-living spaces, common kitchens, baths, and, fitness. So, but it could be either rental, short-term rental, Airbnb, and part ownership.
Right. Okay.
But it would have to be collectively owned like a co-op.
Right. Okay.
Right. But that's totally feasible now. And so the city is looking for ideas, but the challenge is going to be raising the money for it, for housing.
Right.
But the land is there now. And then
Cool.
the city is responsible for, if they do it, they would put the highways, partly underground now, all the way underground, just like we have the tabletop park, the new one in Presidio.
Right. Yeah.
Just like that.
Park.
But then we could have a beautiful park. And so what I did, I proposed 2 radical things besides a lot of shops, dance malls where you can dance with sculptures and lighting at nighttime, so it's safe. I propose a museum for human evolution.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so my friend is in Kenya, and she's part of the Museum of Human Evolution there. And I said, hey, I would do that and connect with them, and then we show the diaspora of humans from out of Africa around the world. And then we have a museum which is like flowing down the street from Laguna, and you go from Africa and then you end up in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where we all end up, right? So you could show all the cultures and people over time.
Yeah.
And then what I want to do, because safety is a big issue, so I said, I studied judo when I was young. I said, why don't we teach martial arts
Right.
for
Yeah.
the old people and the young people and kids? And I said, wait, better. So I said, I was watching a movie on Netflix, a series called Warrior.
Uh-huh.
Warriors.
Okay.
Okay, it was based on Bruce Lee's writings about
Oh,
San Francisco 1870s or
really?
80s. It was actually shot in South Africa. But anyway, I said, bingo, that's it. I said, what if we had a Bruce Lee Center for Martial Arts?
Oh, cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's expositions like Moscone Center.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but you invite in all martial arts from around the world. There are about 180 of them,
Oh, yeah.
like
There's
Brazilian.
Brazilian. There's
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
So you have Africa and you have the native indigenous peoples, you got Japanese. So you
Yeah.
could do that. And then it's kind of like, I call it the UN of martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And then you could have competitions and classes and training and meditation and book sales and clothes and, the whole ball of wax, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has done that yet in the world.
Oh, wow. Huh.
We
Interesting.
could have the coolest place, and then you'd have people from all over the world. So the difficult part is could be transportation or transit because it's crowded. So you'd
Right.
have to have, the underground, the bus lines, and then the BART is actually thinking of bringing in a BART station under
Mm.
Japantown there,
Mm.
way deep, which goes to San Francisco State.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's way off though. But I mean,
Yeah.
you would first put in the top level for the park and everything in the city, so the community can start immediately, and then you underground the Guri. Partially, it's underground already, and you just have it come up and out at both ends.
Right.
And then what you do is you start immediately, and then what you do is you raise capital by nonprofits and rich people who want to donate.
Right.
So if
Right.
you want to I'd get all billionaires like Zuckerberg and say, would you like to help donate to a clinic for people?
Yeah.
And then with affordable housing units,
Yeah.
and then the culture and the music and everything, right?
So wait, let's back up for a second. So that's kind of your family story and the current story, but in the midst of that, you ended up at Harvard.
Yes, right.
So you
So how
went,
did I do that?
yeah.
Okay, well, a little background. I was at Sensei High School and was just the worst ranking out of 50 schools out of the Silicon Valley. So, for example, if the ratings were, 90, 95 for Los Altos and Palo Alto High and all,
Huh?
we were at 15 to 21 out of 100.
Oh, wow.
We were like, it was 90% poor, Black, Latino, mostly Latino, 70% Latino, 10% Asian, 10% Black, 10% foreign. And so we always rated at the bottom academically. So I was lucky because I was a springboard diver, and I was on the Santa Clara Swim Club.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I applied to the local colleges, Cal, and never got in. My dad
Uh-huh.
says apply to Yale, and I said there's no way because they only bring in white boys, like rich white boys, preppies,
Yeah.
like Bushes and stuff. And they said no, 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 apply. And I said, Dad, you're such a dreamer. So this is 1967, right? And I said, so I applied anyway, and I got in.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it because I scored really high in math
Oh,
because
great.
my buddy and I are competing. And then I said, no, I'm not going to go because it's going to be all white, and these guys are stuck up. And then my coach said, no, Don Schoenlender's there. He just won 4 gold medals
Oh,
at
wow.
the Olympic Games in
All right.
Tokyo. And I said, right. Golden boy from California with 4 gold medals. Like, right, I'm not even close to that. So I said, forget it. So I talked to Don, and he goes, he was such a sweet, nice guy. He's from Oswego, Oregon. Really nice. And he said, Sheridan, you got it. Congratulations. Hey, join us, man. We're going to have a really good swimming team. I go, what? And he goes, yeah, come on, join us, man. And I said, what? He goes, yeah, please come. I want you to come because there aren't too many of us from the West Coast. So we need more West Coast people at Yale. And you're a diver too, so that's even better. And so we're going to have the #1 diving team. And I said, who's your competitor? Stanford. So I was also going to go to
Yeah.
Stanford. So I got recruited by Stanford coach and Yale coach. I was going, oh, what do I do? Anyway, what happened was I went to Yale, and they were so nice. Okay, Yale beat Stanford in the
Oh, wow.
showdown. It was on
Oh, wow.
television. And we won. We beat them by a
Wow.
couple of points, but it was fun. So anyway, that's how I got there. And then I went to the reason I went to Harvard in planning is I spent a year Carnegie Fellowship in Caracas, Venezuela,
Oh,
working for,
okay.
teaching English in the American school. But on the week, in the evenings and all, they said, please help out people in the barrio. And I said, why? He goes, well, we had a problem. I go, what's the problem? He goes, well, we used to have machine guns at the gates. And I go, what? Because all these slum dwellers were moving in and it was like breaking in. And so we had 17-year-olds with machine guns. And I go, what? And then we had barbed wire fences and we were the ugly Americans.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
said, wow, that's not cool. And so I said, what do you do? And he goes, well, the Presbyterian president said, no more gates, no more machine guns. We're going to open it up
Oh, wow.
to in the soccer fields for all the community, and everybody loved us. And we taught free classes and things, and we had clinics and things for the poor barrio people. And I said, wow, that is so enlightened,
Right.
And he says, now please help out. So I said, okay. So I lived with a family from Madrid in the slums for a year.
Really?
So it
Wow.
was like all these guys hanging out, and it was like really slummy. And then I noticed I was volunteering with the clinic, and I said, all these children are like sick. What's wrong? He goes, they're dying. I go, what? He goes, do you know what the infant mortality rate is? I said, no. He goes, 50% of the kids
Oh,
will not survive the three. I go, what are you talking about? So he said, the problem, I said, what's the problem? He goes, well, there's no sewers.
oh,
And he
wow.
goes, what do you mean? He goes, you see that dirty water and pool, all that, sir? Well, their kids are playing and they get sick,
Uh,
dysentery, and they die.
yeah.
I went, that's nuts. So what happened is when we found out, the nurses couldn't do anything. We said, so we went to the city of Caracas, tried to get them to build. They wouldn't do it.
Oh,
So we begged, please give us the trucks and all that and the pipes, and we'll do it ourselves because we had a lot of construction workers. So they said, okay. So what happened is that the Catholic priests and I were running around and with the community people begging for pipes, and they gave it to us. And then for a couple of weekends, we worked around the clock and we just like put in the pipes to run the sewage out of this, right? And then we put a little park for the children playing in and with lights so it gets safe at nighttime. And so that big swamp of black water
yeah.
was a really nice park.
Oh, wow.
And the mothers and everybody could watch. And I was in charge of the children's basketball, the little boys. So we had teams, little kids, primary, secondary, high school kids. We had basketball tournaments, and we used to pay in park. And then the children stopped dying.
Oh, wow.
And I went, wow. I said, that is impressive. So I said, I want to be an urban planner because you can save lives.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It was so strong. And you know what? And then we were all like kumbaya. And then the people in the community said, thanks for opening up your school, helping them get free educations and medical and all these clinics. And the Dominican nurses came in, and the Jesuits. I worked with the Jesuits and the
Yeah.
Dominicans for a year.
Right.
And they are so sweet. They're really
Yeah.
nice people.
Yeah.
And they care about people. And so we did that. And I said, you know what? It's like, I can't, I was going to do something else, but everybody's just like money, 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 money. And I said, I don't want to do that in my life. So I said, urban planning would be a great way to help people because you could actually do it systematically, work with
Right.
communities. And that's how I got in urban planning, because you could see tangible results for people
Oh, for sure.
who
Yeah.
are poor,
Yeah.
and I met a lot of people later in my life, and they're all like making all this money, but they seem really unhappy
Right. Right.
because it's just about money. And, and then whereas they say, how come they're so happy all the time? I said, well, because, I get to do things that are cool and work with people, do things that matter, just instead of stuff in their pockets, right? So I did that for, a while. And that's how I got into urban planning. But, unfortunately, just a short time. Then the markets crashed.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, yeah.
so what happened was oil prices, OPEC. So real quick, some of the history, because OPEC in 1973, the oil shock, right? And prices doubled, and then we had a recession. Okay, and then we had Earth Day in 1970. So we're all going environmental and housing and all that. But inflation went up, and then interest rates were 18%.
Right.
So,
Carter years. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And then the Carter, so I was doing all the energy independence from OPEC, which is solar, wind. I did all the energy, solar, wind, nuclear,
right.
everything. Okay. So then it was independence from OPEC.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which punished us for the Israeli war.
Mm.
The Gaza. Okay. That was the oil shock was to punish the West for supporting Israel.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Anyway, so what happened is that we were getting too independent, drill, baby, drill. So the OPEC didn't wanted to control us. So what they did is they cut the price of oil from $40 a barrel to $10 a barrel, right, to 82 to 86.
Oh, wow.
Everything shut down. All the oil drilling, all the mining,
Right.
everything. How all the energy projects shut down, the urban planning projects shut down. We didn't have any money. Houston and Denver were ghost towns.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Right.
terrible.
Yeah, I was there in Denver. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's when I wrote the Technopolis about the tech cities of the future, right?
Right. Okay.
Right. So that book, actually, 1,000 tech parks around the world adopted it from the 86 on. And then the International Association of Science Parks says, "Hey, your book is really popular. It's the Bible for all the cities losing their old industries, chemicals and all."
Right.
And they all wanted to develop tech hubs. So that's my book. Technopolis became the Bible. Now, you want to hear a funny story, though? So I gave my book to the ambassador from China to the UN in
Okay.
1987.
All right. Yeah.
And I said, "Sir, I'd like to give you the book." I already read it.
Oh, wow.
I said, "What? This came out?" He goes, "No, I read it in Chinese." I go, "Huh? I didn't know it was in Chinese." So I called my publisher. He goes, "No, it's pirated."
Oh,
And he said, "All the ministries in China are reading your book and all the cities, and because we're losing all our old industries, just like the West."
Oh, wow.
Wow. So China moved the fastest on my Technopolis program. So Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, all those cities, they all use my book as their Bible. And so I said, the funny story though is that it was based on the Japanese Technopolis program, 26 cities, $3 to $4 billion a piece, top-down government, but implemented and financed locally.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So I said, "Why do Japan is an enemy in World War II. Why do you want to copy Japan?" And he said, "Well, they're onto something." Okay. And you know what they said? He says, Japanese prove one thing to us Chinese. I said, "What is that?" He goes, "You can adopt Western technologies and keep your Asian values."
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And I went, "What?" He goes, "You have a superpower economically with Western technologies, but they're still kept their Asian values. So that's what China wants to do." I went,
Oh, yeah.
"Huh?" And I said, "How is that going to play out?" Because at the time, I didn't know. But they did the same thing Japan did. So China with Asian values.
Oh, wow. Well, and it's proved out to be,
Yeah.
although they've
But
obviously got some problems right now, but
yeah, they've got a lot of problems. Well, Japan had a problem too.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting how ideas. So anyway, so what happens now? The Technopolis is kind of over. In other words, it's glutted, and
Yeah.
we're moving on, and we got the climate problem and all. So I wrote the Gaiapolis Strategy, which
Okay.
is how do we decarbonize our cities quickly? Okay.
Okay.
Now, the reason I wrote that, I said, think about it, just pure logic. 80% of all energy is consumed by cities.
Right. Okay.
80% of the GDP is generated by cities because they have all the talent in universities and companies. Okay.
Right.
70% of all or more of carbon is emitted by the cities. Therefore, we will win or lose the carbon battle in the cities in the next 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because now the difference is the cities are on the demand side.
Right.
They don't produce oil except for Houston. They just buy oil.
Right.
Okay. Whereas OPEC is on the supply side.
Yeah.
So they're like I'd say they're like drug dealers pushing product.
Yeah. Right. We all are addicted to oil.
Right. And so when we tried to get off, when drill baby drill back in the early 80s, okay,
Yeah.
OPEC
Right.
didn't like it. So what they did is they wanted to kill the American oil industry by cutting prices, and it just shut down all of the U.S. production.
Right.
Now they will do it again
Oh,
if they want to.
yeah.
Right? Because if Americans get too powerful,
Right.
They lose control. So you don't have to cut everything because remember, oil prices are global.
Right.
Okay, and the trouble with American drilling is that the production prices are pretty high. For example, I think it's somewhere like $50, $30 to $50 for per cost per
Yeah.
barrel.
Okay.
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 Saudi Arabia is $10 a barrel.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they could cut us down to 10, and then well, again, Houston and Denver, all of Trump's efforts would be wiped out overnight.
Ha.
Okay.
Wow. That's
Except this time we're going clean energies. So the battle
right.
isn't US versus OPEC. Okay.
Right.
Here's
Right.
what's happening. It's China versus OPEC.
Mm.
Okay. So if you think about it, because I worked at Beckman, we were energy strategists. We were always thinking worst case scenarios. I was saying, wait a minute, think about it. Who dominates lithium, EVs, solar panels, and wind?
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
And they're making money on it.
Right.
And oil prices and everything, unlike the 70s, oil and solar and wind prices are just dropping like a rock.
Right. Right.
This is the competition, right?
Right.
And then OPEC oil prices are politically determined and they fluctuate.
Right. Okay.
So one of the reasons, like Ukraine war is that Russia has a high oil production price
Yeah.
and they were losing money on each barrel.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2014, 15, if you look at the prices, it went from $120 a barrel down to like $30 a barrel. Russia has to make, they were saying anywhere from $50 to $60 a barrel. So they were losing money on each barrel they were.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So what they did is they wagged the dog. They launched the war against Ukraine. And then oil prices immediately spiked because we know in energy that when there's a war, oil prices spike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Right. So that's what Russia was wagged the dog to get oil prices spike so it can stay profitable again.
Oh,
And then
wow.
they used their profits to pay for their arms, which is what they did if you look at the numbers.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of the big picture of what's happening now. If it only actually any child could tell you, but if you have a rapidly declining price based on markets, okay, it's not just China, it's everybody competing and prices are declining like this.
Right.
And you have fluctuating prices, who's going to win long term?
Wow. China, obviously.
Yeah. So I think here's my prognosis is watch China carefully is that it's China versus OPEC, where China and all of its friends in the manufacturing
Right.
versus OPEC, because China's going to outsource a lot of the production overseas to like Southeast Asia and even to Africa.
You're right. Right. Yeah, they're coming
to go closer where the markets are.
Yeah.
The trouble with producing China is that the China Sea Straits and the Malacca Straits, they could be cut off, not just for oil, but all for all products.
Right. They can cut everybody off. Yeah.
Right. So if the U.S. wanted, maybe we could cut off all their solar and wind products.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if it's oil or it's any kind of product. China's in trouble. So therefore, it's probably going to outsource a lot of its manufacturing overseas. I mean, India is a good place, even more Africa, Middle East.
Right.
And that way they could go directly into Asia. I mean, Africa and Europe and Asia without having to go through the Malacca Straits and the China Sea.
They
All
can
products.
find their labor markets over there.
Well, yeah. Well, they'll just bring them in. They know how the Chinese do it. They just run the place. They don't ask. They just run it and they hire you. And if you don't like it, they just get rid of you. So the Chinese are pretty ruthless in the way they do manufacturing because, well, they know what they're doing. They have a lot of experience already in solar wind. So you can't tell the Chinese how to do it because they've got scale on their side already. Right. So what will happen is that it's going to be China versus, and the US is going to be politically divided between clean energies and wind. So, I mean, on fossil fuels. The GOP basically is going to be defending the fossil fuels, which is good for now, but long term, they're going head on against China with the prices.
Right. Because
now, if you look at cities, okay, look at the numbers. Transportation is what, 30 to 40%, buildings another 30, 40%, so maybe 70% is based on transportation and
buildings. Yeah.
Cities, here's where cities have played a major role, the C40 UN, that they're already collaborating now. They're already going green now. All they have to do, and my book is basically proposing that they educate 10,000 cities, which is 95% of all energy, to go to decarbonize.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay. In other words, if they wanted to, the cities could work with China and all the clean energy companies
Right.
directly with the suppliers and the users, and they could just bypass big oil.
Oh,
They don't need big oil. Think about it.
right. Right.
And so what happens is that the cities control everything: policies, zoning, procurement,
Right.
business licenses, transportation, education, everything.
Yeah.
And they are the buyers. So if you think about it, one of the dangers, obviously, is that cities can't move too fast, otherwise they'll cause a depression.
Oh, okay. All
Because
right.
when 80% of energy is from oil right now, right? You
Right.
can't just go from 80 to zero, because then, you still have cars and all that. So the cities have to move fast, but not too fast to set us into depression.
Right. Right. To the conversion. Yeah.
Because
Well,
if,
solar. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the challenge right now, is how do you make that transition very quickly? So what I write about is systematically how the cities could phase 1, 2, 3, like Apollo mission, phase 1 for 3 or 4 years, phase 2, and then phase 3. And then by 2030, they should have all their policies in place. And
Nice.
then by 2030 to 40, they just execute.
Well, let's leave for now. I want to come back and re-talk about this particular thing in maybe 6 months, because things could change
Mhm.
pretty interestingly over 6 months. So
Right.
I think we need to readdress this whole issue and see if the cities are making any progress, see if your book's making any progress.
Right.
And in the meantime, we'll kind of keep track of all these different things that you've.
Right.
So it's fantastic conversation. I love it.
Right. So it's fun. I mean, again, China isn't going to disappear. OPEC isn't going to disappear. Russia's not going to disappear. The question now is going to be, it's beyond Trump. Trump
Right.
is just a short term. He's a lame duck right now, politically.
Right.
They know that. Everybody knows that. So
Yeah.
these, of course, they're all the global powers are saying what's going to happen after Trump,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
And they're already planning because they think longer term anyway, strategically.
Right. Right. They
So
have.
what we ought to be thinking about is Trump is kind of, maybe he could even be a blip, temporary blip.
Right. Right.
But the economics don't. Okay, the basic economics of energy prices and oil prices, I mean, they shift a lot, but the basic structure and dynamics doesn't going to change.
Well, but you're saying the whole renewable side of the equation is coming down. So, and oil is fluctuating all over the place. So, the renewable side's going to obviously win eventually.
Right. So it's already taking out coal,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's going to take out fossil gas next.
Right.
And then finally, no, oil will always be here
Yeah.
for
Right.
military primarily,
Oh,
and
interesting.
plastics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for in production, but not for fuel though, because it's wasteful.
Yeah.
But for the armies, they're all going to want to have the.
The
Okay.
long-
Okay, so a little background. I worked with the Department of Energy on the oil reserves of the United States. I did that study back in 77.
Okay.
And the major reason is that the Pentagon needs to have a secure supply of oil in case OPEC
Oh,
shuts us off. Okay.
right.
And ultimately, and that's why we still import oil, but we export oil, is that the US has to always have oil because it learned from Japan. If you don't have oil, your economy's dead,
Right.
right? And your military's on the ground.
Right. You can't do it.
Right. So the minimum, okay, you could go theoretically all mostly clean energies for civilian, consumer, and industrial, mostly, except for the really difficult things, and then save all your oil for the military and
wow.
plastics and things that there's no substitute for.
Right.
And that's so oil will never totally disappear.
Yeah.
right?
Well, hopefully we can cut it down substantially. We'll see.
Oh, we could cut it down 80%,
Yeah.
80,
Okay.
80, 90% if we want to.
And what do you, if we really wanted to, what do you think that time frame would be?
Well, it depends how fast we want to do it. I don't think we have a choice. I think China's going to force our hand.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, and here's how it's going to play out. Last time in the 80s, we didn't have cheap, clean energies.
Right.
So it wasn't an option. This
Right.
time, clean energies will be cheaper than most of the oil in the US and all the new, because remember, we're running fracking only, it's good, but it's going to decline pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You can only frack so much. And then the Arctic is really expensive oil to get out of the ground.
Right. Right.
So it may cost $50 or $60 to get it out. But then if you're competing against clean energies and it's only like literally equivalent to $5 a barrel, you're bankrupt.
Wow.
Why would you pump it and spend 10 times as much for Arctic oil when you can get clean energies?
Right. Right.
And then the best part is, I hate to say it, but I'll say it, the zero risk, because China's footing all the risk of the clean energy costs, right? You're just buying the stuff. Right. So why would you sink trillions of dollars into costly oil, which may sit in the ground? Because it's not because you can't get it out. It's because you're losing money on each barrel.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
It doesn't make any economic sense. So people have this stranded assets notion that, okay, that they say oil will always be here, so it'll never disappear. So that's a full argument. No, the real argument, I worked with Bechtel, I could tell you, prices determine everything.
Right. Right.
If your production costs are more than your Brent oil price,
Yeah.
you're
Right.
losing money on each barrel.
Right.
Okay. And I know most countries don't have, like even Russia, if you look at their sovereign fund, it's like just like that right now, because it's just not. And then China is getting bargain discounts, from Russia, right, or Russian oil right now.
Yeah. Right.
So China knows that Russia's on its back. So it's just saying, okay, well, we don't want to play Brent prices, which are high. So it's like, we refuse to pay $60 a barrel. Give it to us for 30.
Oh, interesting. Right. And then Russia losing money.
They're losing money, but
Yeah.
what can they say? They say, we need your goods, because remember,
Right.
the Americans aren't selling them all the electronics and things, so they got to get it from China. So,
Right.
the problem is that it comes down to pure economics, global market pricing for all this. And you can try and say, yeah, we're going to stand up and all that, but at the end of the day, unless you're willing to swallow huge losses, I mean, literally to the tune of trillions of dollars.
Right.
And we're bankrupt already. We can't afford it. There's no way we can, as a country, afford to pay more money for less energy without going bankrupt.
So, Sheridan, where can people get a hold of you if they want to read your book? I think they need to read your book.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. So if you just go to Amazon, or you could just Gaiapolis Strategy, you can go direct, or my website is this Dreamscape Global. You'll see the link there too, dreamscapeglobal.com, and I have a link with a little background there. But again, here's the thing. I'm trying to influence China. I'll be frank.
Yeah,
and
they're reading the book apparently.
Well, because here's the thing. China needs to reinvent its industry and generate consumer demand so it doesn't export. Okay.
Right.
And one of the things, if you think about it, is that if they totally greenify all cities and decarbonize, and they have to invest a lot of money and time. But the good part is they create a lot of jobs.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So instead of office jobs, which AI is going to eliminate, one of the things that I'm making, as I call it, the bionic cities of the future.
Okay. All right.
Green. So the hottest degree today is not computer science, which is going underground right now.
Yeah.
It's horticulture.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Botany for the science, and horticulture. And the reason is that in the US right now, all the older baby boomers are retiring and shutting down their gardening and different things, but there's no young people to take over. And those are hands-on jobs you can't do it on a computer.
Right.
You got so you have to like plants. You have to be there.
Right.
So it's going to create the retirement of all these aging boomers. Is going to require all these young people who are basically study botany or horticulture, the business side, and
Yeah.
can run plants and everything like that now for everything, and then eventually for food and all, and so this if you look at the future and I integrate healthcare with food and smart cities,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
the Gaiapolis.
All together. Right.
So there's two reasons why you have to go that way. Right now, climate investments are a loss. It's a cost. There's no
Right.
way to make money on it because it's global, diffuse, long term. So that's why they underinvest because there's no way to make money on it. Okay. Healthcare and food, you can make money now.
Oh,
In
yeah.
smart
Right.
cities, you can make
Okay.
money
Right.
now, short
Yeah.
term. You can make money short, medium, and long. Whereas in climate, it's all long term. So what you need to do is in finance, what we do is we package the whole thing. We integrate healthcare with clean cities, biodiversity, food, and smart cities because you have to be smart about it with electronic systems.
Right.
If you do that, then you get a medium, and then you can make money on short, medium, and long.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's reconvene in a
All
short
right.
period of time and see if we can
Right.
get any long-term strategy going here. It was
Yeah,
very
because the Bay Area is the place to do it. You know why? We have the money, we have the technology, we have the thinkers, we have the environmentalists, we have everybody. So we need to invent that new future. It's a new Wall Street. It's really, I call it Green Street.
right, right, right.
And
Yeah.
so it's not ESG funds. This is basically reinventing how we think about everything. Cities, urban planning, housing, everything. And all these jobs, many of these jobs don't exist right now. Probably 90% of the jobs that I see coming don't even exist yet.
Yeah. No, they're going to be
But many of them are hands-on though. Most of
interesting.
them are hands-on. They're physical. Because when you work with plants and cities and people and all that, you have to be hands-on.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
can't just sit at a computer all day.
No.
So
All
that
right.
makes it good, for people who don't like sitting in offices all day.
Okay. Well, great to have you. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, great.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheridan. Talk to you soon.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.